Hi, Panthers, and welcome to Degrassi Schools In. I'm Evie.
And I'm Jocelyn, otherwise known as
Degrassi Kid. And we are together in person for this recording for the first time ever, which is amazing. We are typically on Zoom, which kind of sucks. So it's great we're literally looking straight into each other's eyes right now. We're literally hypnotizing each other with the power of Degrassi. You give me all your Degrassi stuff. So if you guys aren't aware, Jocelyn and I have been on a little trip together. We went to Toronto, which we will get into the details of how that came to be very soon. But right now we are in Jocelyn's hometown of we are in Jocelyn's hometown of Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and we are at the library in a little studio recording space. It's very professional. It's very cute. Tell us how we sound. Tell us we sound good.
We sound amazing. I'm sure we look amazing.
We do look amazing. Unfortunately, this one is not a video podcast, so you'll just have to imagine how cute we are. But yeah, we are here. We are in person, and we are about to give you guys a little recap on what we've been up to for the past week or so, because some insanely fun stuff has been happening. I feel like our lives always are like fun and Degrassified. There's always something fun going on, but it's typically on like social media, Discord, all that kind of stuff. But this time, all of it is in real life, and we've got so many stories to tell. Are you excited to tell some stories, Jocelyn?
I can't wait. I can't believe how many stories we have to share, because going to Toronto, there was only supposed to be one or two cool things happening, and then every single day we did something Degrassi, which was crazy.
Yeah, I remember like when we were on the way to Toronto and when we had first gotten there, you were concerned because you were like, oh, I feel like people are expecting us to be like doing a bunch of crazy Degrassi stuff, and I don't know what's going to happen. And then, we can get into the first day of Toronto where something insane happened that evening.
Absolutely insane. Well, first of all, we arrived to the airport. I arrived at 3 hours before Evie did. So I was like, oh, I'll just wait at the airport for you.
Yeah, we did what we could to make our flights as close to one another as possible, but we could only do so much. So Jocelyn was going to have to wait for 3 hours at the airport for me anyway. And then when I got into the country, I had a fun little road bump. What would you call it? Little mishap. So getting off of my plane, I think would be pretty straightforward. I would just go to the area that I've been to. This is my first time at the big Toronto airport, so it was a little bit different than what I'm used to. I typically fly into Billy Bishop Airport, which is a much smaller airport, a lot less room for error. This one had room for error, and I found that room for error, and I sat in it for a whole hour. I somehow ended up in the area for international students, coming into the country, and from my assumption, getting their visas sorted out and all that kind of stuff, which took a very long time. And I'm like, it's so interesting that everyone's taking so long. We're sitting in this, because in the other airport, it was very streamlined. It was very quick. I scanned my passport, I talked to a person, and I was there. This was not the case, and Jocelyn had to sit there and wait for me for an entire hour before I raised my hand and pulled an airport person aside and was like, am I in the right place? And he was like, no, you're not. And immediately crumpled up my paper and pointed me in the right direction. So we had a slight little delay, but then when we met up, it was awesome. And
just I'm going to Degrassi. I'm a first-time student.
Yeah, I'm a first-time student. I'm like, well, you know what? I kind of want to stay in Toronto more than the 10 days that I'm supposed to be in Canada. So I can go to school. I can get another degree, right?
You should have just waited around to see what happened. Right?
I had been there long enough that I was getting close to the front of the line. So, I almost enrolled in University of Toronto. Fun fact. So once we got that sorted out and I got into the country, Jocelyn and I took an Uber and we checked into our hotel.
Then from there, we kind of just hung around. And one thing that was crazy about that is our friend Gina. We love Gina. A few weeks before, she had messaged me and said, hey, I'm coming to Toronto. And not even to be hey, let's hang out or anything. Just, hey, I'm going back to Toronto. Me and my husband are going to go do this cool Degrassi stuff. How fun is that? And I was like, no way. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in Toronto at the exact same time as you.
Yeah.
So, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before I had officially gone to Toronto, I had gotten an email from the people on the Degrassi documentary team.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, would you be open to flying to Toronto and hosting a Degrassi Trivia Night, in real life for the Degrassi documentary? And I was like, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Of course.
like, of course. Like, why is that even a question? Like, just give me a time and place, like, and I'll be there.
And I will be there. I could not believe that they wanted me to do this at all. So of course I did that. And Gina had messaged me and said, hey, I think I'm going to be in Toronto. So it just so happened that she was coming, like, on the exact day that we were filming this trivia event. We decided we would meet up for dinner on Monday before the trivia night, the day before the trivia night. We said, let's go for dinner and let's go to Dog and Bear Pub because we know that that's owned by Stefan Brogren.
Yeah, and that's where we had been before. When we went to Toronto. We went out to dinner. So we wanted to go again and kind of... We weren't expecting to see Stefan Brogren.
No.
We knew that he co-owns it, but we were like, oh, like maybe there's a chance that he'll be sitting there. And who was the first person that we saw when we walked in that freaking building?
Stefan Brogren.
He was just standing there at the bar. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Stefan. Like, and you were like, yeah, okay, let's go sit down and like, we're not going to bug him. And then a couple minutes later, he starts walking towards us and we're like, oh, well, I guess that's our chance. So we just, hey, and he just like quickly does like a friendly, hey, as you would. If you don't necessarily know somebody says hey to you. And then he did that like double take of recognizing and being like, wait, what are you doing here? Just immediately started talking to us and sat down.
I got to tell him about the documentary. That was so cool to tell him that I'm going to be a part of it. And then he was like, okay, you know what? I'm on my way out for a sec and then I'll come back and sit with you guys for a minute. I was like, okay, great. It was perfect timing because Gina was running a little bit late, like just a few minutes late. But it worked out so perfectly that as he was walking to go where he had to go, Gina was walking into the restaurant and they had this like moment of connection of being like, hi.
It was literally like Stefan Brogren went to greet Gina at the door. It was too perfect. And you got that on video as well, which is just so, we could not have been planned better, honestly.
No, because as you said, I went into this trip being like, I don't have anything planned with Degrassi actors. Like, I don't think I'm going to see a Degrassi actor. Literally, we land on a plane, go to a restaurant, we run into Stefan Brogren. So he has this moment with Gina, and Gina comes to sit with us, and she's already freaking out. The funny thing is that her husband Chris was with us, but he wasn't on the first Toronto trip.
Yeah, we gave him the Degrassi experience.
He was like, Stefan Brogren just like greeted me.
He was fanboying so hard. It was adorable.
It was cute because I'm sure hearing the stories of what it was like to go on the Toronto trip probably sounds like a little like too hard to believe. Like all that stuff just like happened to you? No way. And it's like, yeah, like this is just what it's like. When you're in Toronto, you're just gonna do this stuff.
Yeah, and we have another story later on that we'll talk about of another Degrassi actor where it's just like, how? So like it's so amazing. But yeah, we met Stefan. He sat down with us for like an amazing amount of time. He bought us a round of drinks. He was like, whatever you guys are ordering is on me. I'm like, okay, so I got a margarita, by the way. We both got margaritas, and they were bomb. They were good.
Chris was like, oh, you know what? I'm not, like, I didn't plan to have a beer on this trip. But he was like, Stefan Brogren's buying me a beer. I gotta have a beer.
Yeah, you gotta have a beer if Stefan Brogren's buying you one. So yeah, and then he sat with us for so long, just like we were buddies. Like he started talking about some movies that he's working on. He showed us some little clips of some Degrassi actors that are in movies. There's a new movie with Craig Arnold that recently came out on Tubi. So I'm forgetting what it's called, but he showed us some of that. So American people, go check that out.
Yeah, Craig Arnold. And then there was another movie that isn't out yet, showing us in his restaurant, drinking beers that he bought us, margaritas that he bought us, showing us clips of movies that he made with other Degrassi actors in them. Like, what? And that was unplanned. It was not even anything we expected to do. And it made me feel better because I was like, hey, great, we actually did something.
Yeah, and then that night we also happened to see the Fiona's Loft.
Oh, yeah.
We drove past it on the way to the bar, and we were like, we're going to have to go back and see that. So then after we finished our drinks and all that, we went to Shoppers Drug Mart, and we bought some condoms. Did we buy some condoms, or did we just look to... Okay. So they are so expensive. We just got some Red Bulls, because we were like...
That's such a Degrassi moment. We're like, oh, let's go buy condoms. Actually, we'll just buy some.
Actually, yeah, they're a little expensive,
like
so...
$9 a box.
I know. I didn't know that.
I've never had to buy that.
I know. Yeah. So we got some Red Bull at Shoppers Drug Mart because condoms are too expensive. And then we went and visited Fiona's Loft, the Candy Loft. Is that what it's called? Candy Factory Loft. So we took some pictures. It's
so funny because anytime I see a Degrassi space, like we were just driving and we weren't looking for it.
No.
And it just was like out of the corner of my eye. I was like, oh, that's it. So when after Stefan's restaurant, we'll have to go back. And then, of course, Gina was down and we went back and took a bunch of pictures. It was so much fun. And that was just day one.
That was just night one. Like,
Gina had just like sporadically been available to like go hang out in Toronto.
Yeah.
Chris was so stoked. Oh, one of my favorite parts was Gina was like, I wanted a picture with Chris and Stefan. I want to see who's taller. And Stefan looked up at Chris and went, "Oh my God, you're so much taller than me." And I just know if I was a man, I would feel so euphoric. I'd be like,
that is so validating. He was taller than Stefan Brogren, which is impressive.
Stefan like looked up at him. Crazy.
We love you,
so
Stefan.
Cute. One of my favorite parts was watching Chris fangirl over this, being like, oh my God, I can't believe that I just met Stefan Brogren.
Yeah, he was in disbelief for the rest of the night. It was so sweet. It really shows that like Degrassi impacts so many different people and so many different. It's not just like little 13-year-old fangirls being like, "Oh my God, I love Degrassi so much." It like impacts this like grown man's life and like really meant so much to meet Stefan Brogren. I had such a great night that night with you.
Oh my God, I had such a great night with you. It was so fun that we got to spend time in real life together and just like dive into this like crazy Degrassi thing together and hang out with someone from the show.
And we had some really good mac and cheese.
Oh yeah, really. You recommended it.
We asked, we were sitting there with Stefan Brogren and we were like, "What should we get?" And he recommended the mac and cheese and we were like, "All right, let's get some mac and cheese."
Well, he loves fish tacos.
He did. That's what, if anybody's wondering what Stefan Brogren orders, he gets fish tacos. And they looked really good. So
they did look really good.
They did. All right. So that night ended really well. What did we do the next morning?
The next day was the reason we were there, which was to film the Degrassi Trivia Night. So we kind of hung around in the morning, but then we went out. It was about like 30 minutes away from where we were staying, I think. It was at Under the Alpine was where we hosted it. And you and I went about 2 hours early. So we got to watch them set up. I got to kind of like go through their questions. I had sent them questions in advance. I think if I remember correctly, I sent them about 150 questions. And then they narrowed it down into what they thought were the best ones. Or ones that really like suited the documentary, I guess. So I went over those and made sure they were all good. We had some like supper together and then everybody started pouring in, which was so freaking cool.
It was amazing. And we got to meet some people from internet spaces that we'd known, which was amazing.
Jenny was there.
That was amazing. I met Stone, who's an Instagram mutual of mine. That's really cool. Yeah, we met some new people, befriended them on Instagram now. We hung out. I ended up, so the trivia teams were named after Degrassi characters. And when we were there early, I saw that Lola was on the list. And I'm like, if I don't get freaking Team Lola, I am going to riot. And it ended up that I was able to join Team Lola, which was awesome. I was like, I don't know like what team I'm going to be on. And then Team Lola had an opening. And I was like, if any team's going to have an opening that I can fill, it's going to be Team Lola. I would have been so upset if it were like some character that I didn't even know or care about. Like, I don't want to be Team, I don't even know. Because they were all pretty iconic characters. So I don't know if there would have been a character that I would have been disappointed for. But like, I would have been disappointed if it weren't Team Lola.
I remember there was a moment where I felt so validated in how much I know about Degrassi, which I think anyone could have thought this. But so all of the teams were picked and it was all character names. And then as we were doing one of the rehearsals, I saw someone flicking their paddle in their hands and it said Team Stacy on it. And I went, "Oh, you either mean Caitlin or Ellie. Like, you guys gotta fix this paddle." So they swapped it out for another one. And they were like, "Good catch. We wouldn't have noticed that." It was great.
That's why you gotta have the Degrassi superfan in the building.
Yeah, it was so cool. It was so cool to meet. One of my favorite memories was at the end of it, when people hung around for pictures. Like, there was a lineup of people getting pictures with me. Some people brought me gifts. Katie, she had come like dressed up to the event and she was brought so cute. Egbert with her, and she gifted it to me. I now have it on my wall in my Degrassi room. That was so kind and so thoughtful of the amount of people who showed up.
It was just like the best vibes in that room. Everybody was so friendly. I had made like a bunch of friendship bracelets, like Taylor Swift style vibe to hand out. I made so many friends just being like handing them out and letting people like look through and choose bracelets that represented their favorite characters. Like I said, the vibes were just immaculate. Everyone was so friendly. There was nobody that was like cold or anything like that. It was like I was in a room full of all of my best friends.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I felt so comfortable being on a stage in front of everybody hosting this event. And it was my first ever real live event. Because even my birthday, like, yes, it was a live event, but it was a lot of people that I like knew. And we were just kind of like walking around. It wasn't like...
You weren't hosting it.
I wasn't hosting it for a documentary.
Yeah, for like a bunch of cameras. And I'm surprised by how much it didn't feel like there were cameras in the room. Same. Like, you could see the cameras moving around. And obviously there were times where they had to like make sure that the microphone was in the right place or something like that. But for the most part, the event really still flowed like a fun trivia night. The energy was still high and everyone was still excited to be there. And I think the passion that everybody has for Degrassi made it so that their energy didn't go down.
I know, because one of the worries that we had was like, okay, if you go to a bar and you play trivia, you're going to be in a group of people, you're going to write your answers down, then you're going to hand them in, and that's kind of how it's going to go. But that's boring.
That's not visual. Yeah.
So our whole idea was whoever threw their paddle in the air first they would be the person that called out and their team would get the point, even if everyone else in the room knew the answer. So I was worried that, like, oh, are people going to be upset that maybe they knew it or maybe they got it, like, whatever. But no, everybody was just down and chill and have fun and be a part of this.
Yeah, everyone was excited.
It was very cool to be a part of the production and kind of see how it worked. I also, I was proud of myself for being able to adapt quickly to feedback, because sometimes it's hard to, hear, okay, that didn't work well or that didn't do well.
It can feel very personal.
It can. And there was times, we had to figure out the pacing of, okay, I'm going to say this team is going to answer, but then the camera has to find them and focus on them.
And then, they have to reach the boom mic all the way across the room and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it would be very easy for the energy of the room to get very drained if people weren't excited to be there.
Exactly. But then, we figured it out. We said, okay, you know what, the way we're currently doing it isn't working. How about whenever before everybody answers, I point to where they are in the room so the camera can find them, and then I say, okay, what's your answer? And everybody was down with that. Even times where I had to say, okay, we're going to reshoot this one question. It's not going to be for points. We're just going to reshoot it so we can get it on camera. And everybody was, the enthusiasm didn't change with that at all. It was crazy.
Everyone, I feel like, is excited to be a part of, have the possibility of being a part of the documentary and be in this room of people that love the same thing. So I just think it was overall the best vibes, and everyone that I met that night was so nice.
Yeah. And I'm excited for when the documentary finally comes out. And I'm also prepared, maybe I might only be in 3 minutes of it. You never know. But one thing I'm excited for is at the end, I want to host the same trivia night online. So all the questions that I asked during the filming, I want to, because I have them. I'm the one who came up with the game. I want to do a live version of the Degrassi doc trivia night and see how we all do online.
That would be very fun. Yeah, because it went very fast because everybody knew everything so quickly. So everyone was very quick to put their paddles up and answer it. So. Yeah. I'd be curious with some normal pacing, how the game would go.
And of course, one thing that was very nice is the table that was right in front of me was Gina and Carolina and their two guests. So that was very cool. I felt so comforted. Then you were at the bar. Then we had Jenny and all these familiar faces. It was very, very cool. And I felt very supported in something that is kind of terrifying. I flew to a different part of the country. I hosted an event in real life. Maybe the questions were too hard. Maybe they're too easy. I don't know. But then having that just be so fun and everybody be so down was so, so cool. And that was just night 2.
That was just night 2. And we had 2 more nights in Toronto.
2 more nights in Toronto. And the unfortunate thing is we can't tell you anything about the third night.
We cannot tell you anything about we can tell you about the third night. We got A&W.
We did get A&W. I think I had A&W 3 times.
Yeah, I had a lot of poutine. But we can't tell you anything about what happened. Well, we took an Uber. We took an Uber. I did forget my backpack where we were. We had a pretty good lunch. Remember that fly that was just sitting on the salad and I moved it to and it was just sitting there? It was really strange.
He was too much.
There was a fly that was just standing on business. But okay, that's all we can say about day 3 though.
What a very boring summary of what we did versus what we actually did.
Yeah, we got some food. There was a fly. We took an Uber. I forgot my backpack.
I accidentally stole something from a teenager by accident.
But
they made me steal it, and I didn't know.
Wait, what is this? Oh, I'll bleep that out. Okay.
So anyway, day 3, we can't really tell you about it. Sometime in the future we can, but as of this current moment in time, we can't.
Cannot.
But we had a great time.
We signed NDAs. No, we didn't sign NDAs.
We did not sign NDAs. We probably should have.
Day 4.
So we had. Oh, also after trivia, did we want to talk at all about after trivia?
Oh yeah. Let's talk about
probably one of our highlights.
Yeah, we had an amazing time. After trivia, the members of my team, Team Lola, which were Bree and Kyle, were super chill. We went outside and some of us partook in getting Degrassi High.
Yeah, everyone but Kyle.
Everyone but Kyle. Kyle's a narc. No, I'm just kidding.
He hosted our second Degrassi trivia.
Yeah, because we went to a bar and we sat down and played some Degrassi trivia. Some random little internet Degrassi trivia where we ended up debating each other on what the answers were.
Yeah, and then even our bartender got in on it. He was telling us, who did you say his favorite character was? Or
oh no, we asked him, I think when you were in the bathroom, we asked him a trivia question and it was about Claire.
Yeah.
I can't remember who he said his favorite character was, but he was like, are you guys Degrassi fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. So yeah, we sat there and we had a couple more drinks and we played some Degrassi trivia, which was very fun. A shout out.
Very cool.
Yeah, shout out to Bree and shout out to Kyle for chilling and giving us a good night.
Also nice for me because everyone else at the bar got to like drink and stuff, but I had to host, so I couldn't drink.
Yeah, you had to catch up.
Oh, and the crazy thing about Bree is she flew in for that event.
Yeah, she flew in from LA, which is wild.
Yeah, so I had posted the stuff on my socials and the Degrassi had posted on theirs. And a few people had followed me and reached out to me about it and were like, oh my god, I'm in Toronto, I want to come, this is so exciting. But then Bree was one of the people who said, hey, I'm flying in for this event specifically, and then asked me if I knew any other Degrassi locations. So I sent her the list of everywhere we visited before. And she got to go meet, her and Kyle got to go meet Stefan at Dog and Bear.
I know, and I will let us take some credit for that because we told them, they asked us like where the bar was and we sent it to them. So you're welcome, guys, for meeting Stefan.
A lot of people stalk Stefan Brogren.
I know, Stefan Brogren. Also, Stefan Brogren, can we talk one more thing about what Stefan Brogren? He was like, oh yeah, Amanda Steptoe lives right around here. Like, he basically was like, he was like, oh yeah, she lives like right around here. Like, don't tell us that. We will go find her house.
Yeah, like Stefan said that.
Yeah, like Stefan told us to come over.
I did hang out with her at Canvas Walk of Fame.
Yeah, it would, hey, it's me again. What's up, bestie?
That's one thing I'm surprised that we didn't think of is going to Canada's Walk of Fame to see.
I know. Next time.
Okay, day 4.
Day 4.
Day 4, we had nothing planned. Even we told Gina, because Gina was flying out a day early, and I was like, don't worry, you're not going to miss anything because we're probably just going to lay around, eat A&W.
Again, I think we did get A&W again.
I did A&W. It was so good.
It was so good.
It was like $40 a meal, though, which is crazy. Anyway, I digress. We were laying around doing nothing, and then I get a FaceTime call from Tom Melissus. And he's literally, like, I'm not even exaggerating when I pick up the FaceTime call. It's me and Evie. And he says, hey, I'm on Degrassi Street. Do you want to come grab a coffee with me? And we were like, yeah. And we went from, like, basically being hungover in bed, like, not doing anything, to being up and on Degrassi Street within 10 minutes of that phone call.
We literally hopped in that Uber so quick.
Yeah. And he literally we went to a coffee shop that, like, if you walked out of the coffee shop and took 10 steps, Degrassi Street was right there. So we Ubered to Jimmy's Coffee, which was perfect, on Queen Street, which is on the corner of Queen and Degrassi. And we go to the door. He's standing right there. He welcomes us in. I'm like, you're trying to be Stefan Brogren.
He's like, I want to be Stefan Brogren so bad. And we didn't clarify, by the way. I figured we should clarify. I'm sure most people know who Tom Melissus is, but he played Mr. Perino in Degrassi The Next Generation and Tom the mechanic, Jeff the mechanic in Degrassi Junior High, which we just recently watched that episode. But we'll get into that later. But he greeted us at the door and he bought us coffees. He got an iced matcha, which I was not expecting.
I got an iced coffee.
I got an iced Americano double shot, which was good.
So Halsey coated.
Oh, new Americano. New Americano. So yeah, I got a double shot Americano, and you got an iced coffee. No, you got a cold brew.
Oh,
not that it matters.
And then we talked about Degrassi. We talked about Ready or Not. We talked about a show where he makes up with Miss Hot Sauce.
Yeah, he was like, I had affairs with all those women. He had an affair with Miss Sauvé.
Yeah.
Not Miss. Well, the actress who plays Miss Sauvé in another show, not IRL. Just to be so clear. I know. Good clickbait. Okay, anyway. So yeah, we chatted with Tom Melissus for the longest time. He gave us so much of his time.
Yeah, and we talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about even like the Florida Family Association.
He asked what our dream Degrassi collection items were and offered you a really cool jacket that you may or may not.
I did send him an offer.
Yeah, it was a really cool Degrassi jacket that neither of us had ever seen. And he was like, maybe I could part with it. And then the funniest thing that he did is he sent it to both of us individually and he said, let the bidding begin. He was trying to tear us apart. I think one of the best things was that we talked at length about the plot line with Derek, where he bullied Derek and he was talking about how out of character that felt. And I remember what he said is that he believed that that was written for another actor and then they decided to just use him instead. But I found it very interesting that he felt like that was really out of pocket and out of character as well.
Yeah.
Because that's something that is like the one storyline that I feel like everyone remembers Mr. Perino for. And I find it very interesting that he very much feels like that doesn't reflect the character.
I really liked his take on the Next Class episode with Goldie.
Yeah.
Where they talk about like G.I. Joes and suicide bombers and stuff like that. And he had talked about how important it was to show that people can learn, like even if they come from a place of ignorance, which Mr. Perino did, that scene really stood out to him because it's like, oh yeah, you can just like, if so you do something like that, you can just own it and be like, oh yeah, no, I didn't think about that. I fucked up.
Yeah, and having that conversation made me realize that it was a very interesting character progression from him over so many years, because I feel like old Perino would have argued back and been like, oh no, don't talk back to me, don't do that. And I brought that up to him and he was like, that's a really good point. Like he really like resonated with that and thought that that was really interesting. So I liked that we were just like sitting there psychoanalyzing his character, and like, I don't know, it was just so cool to be able to sit across from Mr. Perino and just like character study him, basically. Yeah. It was very interesting, and he was so kind. He was
so kind. And then we went over to Degrassi Street, and we did a bunch of skits with him. We took a bunch of photos. We even got to teach him. It was really cool. We went to 98 Degrassi Street, and I told him the story of how Degrassi got started. He had no idea. And then we did a bunch of skits of, like, running into him, and then that's when we got our idea for the We're Degrassi Fans TikTok that we just made together, which was so fun. Yeah, Annie Clark liked that, which made me feel very seen. I love that she sees our adventures in Toronto. We love Annie Clark. We love Annie Clark. That is, like, a core part of your personality is loving Annie Clark. You haven't met her yet. I think the world would explode if you saw me and Annie Clark meet. I would be so happy. I think it's mostly because she just moved to St. Catharines, so now she's not in Toronto. Whereas then she would have been at all these other events, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like she would have, like, met up and hung out with us in Toronto if she were in town. Yeah. For sure. 100%. Or she even would have been at the Canada's Walk of Fame party if she had lived closer. You're right. Yeah. Annie, why are you avoiding me? Why did you move exactly when I started visiting Toronto? I'm starting to feel like you don't want to meet me, Annie. What the hell? I'm curious because we just watched a couple Degrassi episodes together to prepare for your podcast. I'm curious your thoughts about what it was like to see Tom Melissus in the Jeff the Mechanic role. It was crazy because, like, yeah, I knew that he had played a minor role in Degrassi Junior High, but it was very interesting to see him young. He's a very handsome man. He's a very handsome man. And I'm very excited. I mentioned the possibility of Tom coming on and talking to me about Nothing to Fear. And he seemed pretty down. So we'll see. But yeah, we watched Nothing to Fear and we watched What a Night. They were very good and it made me want to keep binging through it. But yeah, it was very interesting to see him as Jeff the Mechanic. I'm wondering if we should just talk, because the only other thing I really have to talk to you about is the fact that multiple people appeared in that episode with the hospital. Do we just want to have that be part of this one? Yeah, we can just talk about that real quick. Yeah. A little Nothing to Fear blurb real quick. Yeah. Let's talk about it, because yeah, you pointed out all the cameos, which was very interesting. Yeah, one of my favorite parts of the Nothing to Fear episode is, of course, the fact that Tom Melissus appeared in the show. But there's also a bunch of cameos. If you watch through the scene where they're in the hospital, you'll see Kit Hood is one of the doctors. Judy Shiner is in the background. Eve Jennings, who is Kit Hood's mom, she's the receptionist LD hands the flowers over to. Basically, if you watch that whole scene, anytime she's walking through the hospital, you're going to see people in the back. The first AD, Sari Friedland, is back there, which is interesting because when you watch Cookie Goes to Hospital from the kids at Degrassi Street, it's the same. All the people who work in the hospital are all people who are on the real set and show. So it's very cool. Do you think they filmed at the same hospital? Maybe it's likely that they would use the same connections. Well, we'll have to find out. Degrassi Kid doesn't know something. Oh, mark it on the calendar. I know everything else. I know, that's like a mark it on the calendar moment, because it's very rare that you get stumped from Degrassi stuff. And the What a Night one, all those books, Judy Shiner put all those together. We know that because Sierra asked. That Damon King plotline, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it on my episode, but crazy. Stephanie K. Stephanie. One of my other favorite memories with you is, so I obviously have this huge Degrassi collection in my room, and there's a poster that I have that kind of summarizes each episode. Oh, yeah, well... And Eevee was reading through the ones that she had already seen, and she was like, oh, yeah, I've seen these. She was like, I better stop reading because I'm going to get spoiled. And then still read the next episode, which is about Wheels meeting his biological father. And you literally were like, if I keep reading this, I'm going to get spoiled. And you went, fuck, I just got spoiled. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in myself for that one. It's only the next episode that you got spoiled on. We had fun where I was kind of theory crafting how I think that's going to play out. Yeah, because one thing you do know is that you know that Wheels' parents die. So is it Wheels' is it his biological parents or is it an adopted parents? Is it a situation where does Wheels know that he's adopted? Is his biological father going to like stick around, or is it like a one episode thing? I don't want to get spoiled further. I'm still mad that I spoiled myself. But it was so funny to watch that happen in real life. Just watch you be like, if I keep reading this, I'm going to get spoiled, and then getting so mad at yourself. You're reading. Crazy. I kind of fucked myself over on that one. But what's it like being in PEI? I know. I was going to say, we kind of skipped over the transition from Toronto to PEI. Yeah, we flew here. We did. We flew here.
it's awesome. It's pretty cool. It's very pretty here. The Degrassi room is real. There's lots of Degrassi things in there. We filmed some content, which is very fun. Some TikToks and stuff.
Fun doing TikToks with you. That's one of my favorite memories. One of my other favorite memories is Evie and I just got like super baked, and we put on Degrassi songs, and we just like we turned the lights like purple or blue, and we just laid around listening to Degrassi songs. And we both have our brains both work the same way, so we both were just like closing our eyes and just like not watching the music videos, but just imagining the music videos in our minds, which was so fun.
Yeah.
I had an experience with that.
We did that with Bite Your Tongue, the season 12 promo, and we did it with Steal Your Heart. Yeah, we were like, Shark in the Water. You know, we were like, oh, and then Claire with the sparklers. Oh, we were both freaking out in the Bite Your Tongue when it's the Cam and Maya Stargazers moment. Dun, 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 dun,
one of the best.
We were like, we were losing our minds. It was so fun. We just we were both closing our eyes and like simultaneously just imagining the music videos. I can do it in my head right now. I have my eyes closed.
It's amazing. I don't know if you're okay with me sharing this, but one of my other favorite memories is I had told Evie, I said, all I want to do at the end of the night is I want to get super baked and listen to Degrassi songs. And me and Evie have been going first of all, Evie has been smoking all day, and then we've been going 1 for 1. Like, I smoked a joint, she smoked a joint. She had her vape, I had her vape. We, like, did gummies, she did gummies. So it finally came to the time that I was like, okay, I want to, like, change the lights, and I want to, like, put the music on. And I did that, and she was like, oh, are you ready to start getting baked now? And she was laying in my bed writing a work email, so casual. Meanwhile, I was fried. I was like, start getting baked.
I was literally working.
Yeah, you're like, oh, are you going to start smoking out now? And you were writing a work email.
I know, I showed you the work email. It was like completely like fully competent, fully whatever. Like my tolerance is, I'm built different, unfortunately. I smoke so much weed.
This was only like 7 p.m. and I was wasted. I was so high.
Yeah, I was working. I was like, oh, let me grab my laptop real quick and respond to this email real quick. That is one thing that I've noticed is I smoke a lot of weed. And I think you've noticed that too.
100%.
I have really enjoyed being PEI with you. I'm leaving tomorrow, which makes my heart sad. I will say I've made some new friends as well. Tobias and Katniss. How do they feel about me?
Tobias loved you immediately. Tobias is my little boy, kitty cat. He loves Evie, obsessed with Evie. Earlier we said his name and he ran right over to the music guy.
Yeah, Jocelyn said his name and he ran over to me.
And you and Caddy took a little slower of a burn. You've been very patient with her, but she's the white one, my Siamese kitty cat. She's like a very standoffish kitty cat, and I saw you guys cuddling this morning.
Sure. You got a really cute picture of us cuddling this morning.
You besties now.
We're besties. She's gonna be really sad for me to go.
She's gonna crawl.
I'm
gonna cry. And I miss you. I love doing stuff with you in real life.
I know. I wish we didn't live so far away. I wish we just lived like a province away.
A province. Come to Canada. Be a student.
I was halfway there already. I might as well just finish the process. Are there any more fun highlights from our trip that you can think of that we haven't mentioned yet?
One of my favorite things is mostly just having you see in real life all the things I talk about, because you and I talk all day, every day online, and now you get to, like, when I'm like, oh, hey, I'm going to go, like, for a walk around the park. Well, now you got to see what that park is. Or even just, like, showing you when I'm like, hey, I'm going to go pick up a pizza. Where's the pizza at? And just little things like showing you my room and my cats and giving you a perspective of what my life is like, the life that I always talk about. Now you get to see it.
Yeah, I feel like I've lived it, which is nice.
Yeah. What was it like to see things like the Linda Schuyler Street sign? Did you think that was cool?
It is really cool. It's well set up. Your Degrassi room is really cool, and you'll have to check my backpack before I leave because, like, there's some stuff in there that I'm like, I want it. You have the next class clapperboard that I'm just obsessed with. It's signed by a bunch of the cast. It's beautiful.
I care about you so much that I would, if I was going to give it to anybody, I would give it to you, but I'm not giving it to anybody.
I don't want you to. I know how much you spent on that, and
too much. This is the thing is when it comes to being a collector, people are like, oh, you must be rich. It's like, no, you get very comfortable with credit card debt whenever you love something. That's
the case with, like, this trip to Toronto. I feel like people are gonna think that we, like, dropped a bunch of money. No, I destroyed my credit card with this trip. Like, I'm going to be paying some credit card bills. So, just to be clear, we are not rich. We just love Degrassi. But yeah, I had an amazing time. I will be paying the credit card bills for a while, but it was worth it. Got so much poutine. Got a bacon cheeseburger poutine last night. That was yeah, I think I'm an honorary Canadian now. I love Degrassi. I had a very fun time. Tom Melissus is my new best friend.
I love that. And Stefan Berggren.
And Stefan Berggren is my new best friend.
You've met him a few times.
I've met him twice now.
Yeah.
Well, 3 times, but twice in person.
Twice in person, once on the internet.
We love it, and we love Degrassi. All right, let's end this with singing Whatever It Takes.
Whatever it takes.
I know I can make it through. Ooh, ooh, yeah. If I hold it out, if I do,
I know I can make it through.
I know I can make it through. All right, now wake up in the morning, feel it shine slowly. I'm just gonna make you sing a bunch of songs.
I've been there, done that.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to say bye to the Panthers?
Bye, Panthers.
Bye, Panthers. I feel very ASMR in this mic if we're just gonna talk aggressive. We should do an ASMR Schools In episode. Bye, Panthers.
Bye, Panthers.